Hello everyone. Today we are going to paint this beautiful dahlia. I like to put my art table just by the window, as natural light is the best for painting watercolor. I also prefer to paint early in the morning or later in the afternoon when the sunlight is soft. I already have this flower sketch ready. If you would like to know how to trace a drawing, you can see my short video. The link is down below. Since this is the last page of my watercolor pad, I'm just going to tape this paper to the back of the pad. This will help to keep the watercolor paper stretched and not wrinkled as you put so much paint and water on the surface. I just use a thin paper tape and put it on all the four sides of the paper to tape it to the cardboard. This thin paper tape will be enough to tape the front and the back. You can tidy up the edges with scissors. Now this watercolor canvas is ready to paint on. These are the two of my favorite brushes that I use for most of my paintings. One is the mop brush from Raphael, and the other one is the round brush from Plain Bright. You can see how the feel of these two brushes are different. One is very soft and has a wide end, and the other one has a high elasticity and a very pointy edge. You will also need a cup of water, 2 ceramic saucers, a couple of paper towels. This one I just reused from my last painting. And the only color that I will use from this Winsor & Newton set is the purple one. I will also use the rose color from this tube, and I will show you how I mix these two colors for this flower. I will put each color on each ceramic saucer. I'm adding the rose color to the purple a little bit by little bit until I think I have the color that I want. I want this flower to be bright purple instead of dark purple. So the rose color adding a little bit of brightness on this purple. Now I have the same color on 2 saucers. One is the dense color or the more tinted color, and the other one is more transparent or more water. And then I will test this color on the piece of paper to make sure that I like it. I think I will go with this color. Don't forget to always clean your paint brushes after you use it and tap it on the paper towel and just lay it horizontally. I also always have a photo of the flower as a reference ready in front of me. Painting watercolors comes with many layers. First layer usually is the transparent color or just a little bit paint with lots of water. For this specific flower, it's different than any other flowers that I have painted before. I'm just going to paint the whole flower with the same density of paint as the first layer. So I do not leave any space between the petals. The purpose is nothing more really just to try on something different. This is, by the way, my painting style. I don't stick to one method or one way. I just try different stuff as I go, see how I feel that day, and see what works best. After all, watercolor is a creative process, so you're just free to try whatever you want, whatever you feel like at the time. When the first layer is done, I just leave it out until it's completely dry. Now, the real skills come in the second layer. We are going to paint the petals one by one. First, I'm going to wet one surface of the petal with wet brush, and then I'm going to add dense paint on the center of the petal. And then I will use the other brush again to soften the color. So this is just brushing the edges of the color until it looks soft and to create sort of gradation. I'm going to repeat the same process in a zoom out version so you can see how I work the paint, the water with the paintbrush. First, I add water on one surface of a petal, and then I use the other brush to add the paint in the middle part of the petal. And then I use the wet clean brush to soften the edges. Remember to let one petal fully dry before you move on to another to avoid the paint blends to the other petal. Or you can also skip one petal or just paint the petal a bit further away while you're waiting the other part to get dry. You can always rotate the paper to find the angle that is easier for you to work with. This is normally happen when you need to use the tip of the paintbrush on some part of the flower. When you're painting the center part of the flower, it's a little bit tricky because the petals are very small. So you just need to work out how to use the tip of the brush, or you can even switch to smaller size of a brush. This is how the second layers look like when it's fully dry. You can see the flower looking a bit more realistic. Now for the third layer, I will use the smaller size of the brush. This is Winsor Newton Miniature Series size 3. On the third layer, you're going to paint the beginning part of the petal with a very dense paint. This will create a beautiful contrast on the flower. And then you can soften the color with a wet brush. Then you're going to continue to repeat the same process on the next petal and so on. You're still going to leave the light side of the petal, just like that. It will add nice contrast to the darker color of the flower. Sometimes I also like to add a bit more detail on the folded side of the flower. I'm going to repeat the same process on a zoom out version so you can see how I work the paint and the brushes. I will also show you how I work on the center part of the flower. As you can see, I rotated the paper and then I just add dense paint on a few petals at once and then also just soften the colors at once. If you're painting smaller parts, this method will work. I will also show you how I paint the folded small petal, how I apply the dark color and leave the lighter color out. After you finish applying the third layer, you will want to see how and see if you want to add darker color on part of the flower. Such as this one, I'm actually adding shadow. For example, if one petal is just beneath of the other petal, there will be shadow just right beneath it. So I will add darker color on some parts like that. Some part of the paint I like the edge to be a bit rough, and some part of the paint I like edge to be soft. I also like the center part of the flower where the petals are still a bit close to have darker colors. This will add gradation to the overall look of the flower. The center part is gonna be dark and slightly getting lighter towards the end of the flower, where the petals are open. And now we're coming to the end process of the painting. To be honest, watercolor painting sometimes never feel like it's fully done. You always wanted to add more and more to make the painting looks more realistic. But I like to push my brake and put myself to stop, so I keep my paintings looking a bit more simple and humble. Don't forget to take care of your paintbrushes after you're done painting. This way you can use your paintbrushes for a long time. What is great about watercolor is you can still reuse the paint that is left on your ceramic saucer. Just cover it and store it away, and then you can reuse it again anytime later. If you haven't heard about me, my name is Keishart. I'm a watercolor artist from Australia. As my appreciation for you that have watched my video, I have put up lots of sketches on my website to be downloaded for free. Just simply pick as many sketches as you want and go through the checkout without having to pay. Most of the flower sketches I have uploaded on this website. I will also have the tutorial video ready on my YouTube channel. So if you haven't done it already, please go to my YouTube and subscribe or watch more videos. This will definitely give me the support that I need to keep on making these watercolor tutorial videos for you. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope to see you next time.